friends, Mike and Jess here.
And welcome to our third episode of the Strangers Like Me podcast. Today we had a very special guest. Jacob Restituto joined us in talking about dream jobs.
Yeah, the ups and downs of pursuing your dream in life. He's a singer, songwriter, producer, full-time. And man, that was a great conversation we had with him. Very insightful. A lot of great stuff that he had to say.
Definitely.
We also are releasing a reaction to his song, Diamond Eyes, today. Make sure you check that out.
Yes.
And yeah, go support him. Go listen to his music. He has some great, insightful music, very deep lyrics. That's the kind of stuff that we're really into.
Yes.
We love listening to all type of music, but it's the songs to where the person really has a message to tell. And yeah, we talked about a lot of great things today.
And pushing more of that positivity out there, because that's what we're here for. Jacob Restituto definitely has that message in mind. He has that goal for the world, not just for himself. He's doing something that he's passionate about, but he's also pushing out an awesome message there. And we definitely have links for him below. You guys need to go check him out, give him some love, because he definitely deserves it. But I can't wait for you guys to see this podcast. We definitely enjoyed it.
Yeah, let us know down below what you thought of it. And yeah, we can't wait for you to get into it. We'll see you at the end. We've got Jacob Restituto here with us. If you want to introduce yourself, man, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Absolutely. Did we start recording already?
Oh, yeah. We're on.
What's going on, everybody? I appreciate you guys very much for having me on. It's an absolute honor being number 3 on your podcast. So my name is Jacob Restituto, and I'm a musician from Northport, New York. And I've been doing YouTube for a couple of years now. Kind of like as I said, I'm a musician, so YouTube is essentially like a means to an end in the sense of like I want to make music, and in order to put my music out there, I put it on social media. So whether it be Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, and YouTube's the one just ended up taking off a couple of years ago. So
that's really cool.
It's been my main focus for the majority of the time.
Well, I'm a big fan of yours, man. Like I said before we started, you were the first person from the group that we're all in, the fam chat group, that I actually, unbeknownst to me, like stumbled upon for some info on copyright. And then here we are months later, I'm in a group chat with you, and now we're talking here. It's like everything's coming full circle. So I'm honored that you even know that you're the third guest.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Come on, man. You do your research. I do my research.
That's good. Speaking of research, man, I had to look up a little bit of info about you. This is our first time speaking. And I used good old ChatGPT. I think it's got its facts wrong. I could be wrong.
Wow. See, okay, so I do a lot of interviews. That's a great idea to get information on for interviews. So what did you type in? I want to talk about ChatGPT at some point, because in our conversations, like, no, you're like a ChatGPT wizard, and you're like really using it well. So I'd really be interested in hearing it. But sorry, continue.
I do find it a pretty fascinating tool. I'm always
but you have to know what to ask it, though. Is the key, and you seem to be really good at asking the right questions. So I'm curious, which is why your interviews are great. See, that makes you a great interviewer. But okay,
my brother was a big help with that. He introduced me to it. Her brother uses it a lot, so I have friends that are also using it. So we bounce ideas off of each other with it, so I blame them as well. So I pay for the pro version, and it can access the internet. And so I asked it to look some stuff up on you. Okay, it says you are one of the most wealthiest and popular YouTube stars in the industry. Is this true?
You know what? We'll let it believe what it wants to believe.
I was like, wow, we got an interview with one of the most wealthiest and popular YouTube stars on the platform. That's pretty incredible.
What? The internet never lies.
Yeah, right?
True.
We'll let it keep going. That's awesome.
That's amazing. We're honored to have you here.
For real. We really are.
It's very cool. Well, dude, we've talked a little bit.
Is that all it said? That's all
Okay, you want to go through? Okay.
I want to hear, of course.
Jacob Restituto is a content creator known for the music-related videos he posts on his YouTube channel, which have accumulated over 130,000 subscribers. Born on March 8th, 1995 in Northport, New York, Restituto is a full-time songwriter, singer, and producer. He began his music career in 2014 and is passionate about making high-quality music that listeners of all ages can relate to and enjoy. On his YouTube channel, Restituto conducts interviews with musicians and also posts live performances. One of his most popular videos is a reaction to a live performance, which has over 20,000 views. I'm sure it has more than that. Restituto's music has evolved from an acoustic singer-songwriter style to a more contemporary alternative pop sound with electric guitars and sampled drum hits. His most recognized and well-received song is I Need the Sun to Break, with over 850,000 streams on Spotify.
Nice.
Well done, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We're going to have to check that one out.
Yeah, definitely.
In 2018, he committed to releasing a new single each month. Is that true?
Yeah.
That's really cool. That's
That is
really cool.
awesome.
You know, it's funny. What you're reading is the bio that I have on my Spotify.
Oh, for real?
Yeah. Word for word. Except maybe the line about the live performance reaction. I don't know. That might have pulled it from somewhere else. But almost everything else is word for word, like the bio that I have on everything.
That's hilarious.
So it's funny, man. It's hey, you know what? I can access the internet for sure.
Yeah,
so you know what? If that's true, you know, who knows, man? Or maybe it's speaking into the future. You know, speaking of things that will be the wealthiest and well-known YouTuber.
Oh, I like this.
That's very, very high praise from ChatGPT right here. One thing I was curious about, Restituto has been married to his wife Jamie since November of 2018. True?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It is true.
Know. Good to know.
This October will be 13 years together, and November will be 5 years married.
That's awesome, man. Congratulations.
Yes, that's
Thank
beautiful.
you.
And again, to end it out, you are one of the most wealthiest and most popular YouTube stars on the platform.
Amen. I receive it.
I read that and I was like, wait, what is this?
And he's about to be on
Chat
our
GPT
podcast?
does not lie.
Yeah.
No.
Thank you, ChatGPT.
Not yet, but perhaps one day.
The song "Marry Me" definitely popped out at me in your bio as well, because I definitely want to listen to that. I'm all about love, and I'm all about I love when people find their soulmate. I love when people have a partner in this life, and I don't feel like a lot of people go through that, and I wish that for everyone. But just songs like that, they definitely resonate with me. I love hearing them.
Sure, it's an oldie for sure.
Yeah,
that is an oldie.
Maybe we'll get a movie about the story of Jacob and Jamie one day.
That is a high possibility.
So you're a new father. Tell us what that's like. How's it like? I know it's kind of fresh, but how's that inspired you with your work, and how's it changed your perspective on things?
Well, so for anybody that doesn't have kids out there, I know that you guys have kids. You know, it's interesting. Before you have a baby, people like you say it's one of the few things in life where you say the good news and people immediately meet it with doomsday news. You know, like you say like, oh my gosh, we're gonna have a baby in 3 months. They're gonna be like, oh, be prepared to never sleep again, or oh, your life is no longer your own. And it's like, if you were to say, you know, my wife says this all the time. If I was saying, oh, I'm moving to California because I got a new job, people say, oh, that's amazing. Wow, California's beautiful. You're gonna have a great. They don't say like, oh, well, good luck having no friends over there. You know, good luck trying to figure out the office dynamic.
Right.
You know? It's really interesting that people do that with kids. But one thing I do want to say, like, I'm a huge optimist, but I'm also like a realist. Like, I want to know how it is kind of thing. Like, if it's going to hurt, tell me it's going to hurt kind of thing. And so I can mentally prepare for it. Right. So one of the things I was not prepared for, I think I was over prepared for the exhaustion. Like, it's not, personally for me, it wasn't as exhausting as I expected it to be. But it was extremely more stressful than I expected it to be. I was not prepared for the stress level. I mean, our baby was in the NICU for a little, and then we had to go to the ER. So like things like that, I was just not mentally prepared for it. It was stressful.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody could prepare you for that. It's just something that is, I mean, they cough and you get scared. Like, it's just like little things. So like if something big like that happens, it's like, oh man, it's out of your control a little bit, and it feels a little uneasy. Like you don't. Yeah.
Our daughter just went for 6-month shots yesterday, and she's had a fever a little bit, and she had a rough time sleeping last night. And man, I was just so stressed out.
It's just rough. It's like, oh God, are you doing the right thing? She can't talk to you. You know, you gotta like.
We should get up and go to the hospital right now.
Yeah, we could go.
Just got
Take
a
her.
small fever. Calm down.
Yeah.
But I am you do get so protective. But
sure,
you know, we have teenagers, and now we're new parents again, and we've gotten the same thing. People are like, oh, be prepared for this terrible thing. I'm like, I already know what to expect.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It has
Come on
been
now.
a decade in between, but I feel like it's
Yeah.
different this time around because we're older, and I feel like we paid more attention this time. Like when we were younger, it was like, this is happening, you're getting thrown into it. And I feel like, obviously I have a lot more energy when I was younger, but also like thinking about everything. I'm embracing it more. I'm thinking about every moment being more present in it. And I feel like I paid more attention this time around.
That's gonna come through, because your
Oh,
mic's connected to it. She's
I'm
over here
being
playing with
fidgety.
some
I'm
metal
fidgeting.
fidgety thing. Dude. No, but I forgot what I was gonna say right there because I had to stop you from fidgeting.
No, but it is interesting. Because I dropped out of college in 2014 to do music full time, all the kids my age were still in school. So when I got dropped out of college, the people that I became friends with were significantly older than I was. I was 18, they were like 25, 30.
Mhm.
Or early 20s, mid 20s, and even potentially early 30s. So now, almost 10 years later, they're in their mid 30s and I'm in my late 20s. So a couple of them have already had kids. So it's been I've had the experience of like kind of watching them parent and like seeing all their first parent fears,
Yeah.
and kind of like almost living vicariously through. We're like really close friends and stuff. So like all like the group of us. So like seeing like kind of like being a part of them raising their kids has I think been a big difference in like, rather than being the first person in your friend group to have a kid, you don't know what to expect, but you kind of, by at this rate, kind of like have my wife and I are very, I guess not relaxed isn't the right word, but we've seen, like, we know that it's kind of hard to kill one of these kids. You know what I mean? Like they're pretty resilient.
They
So
Yeah.
are
like with
very
that
resilient.
with being said, like, we're out for a walk when she was 6 days old. We have tickets to fly to Florida in 2 weeks. You know what I mean? She's 8 weeks at this point. So
What part of
Aw.
Florida are you going to?
Tampa.
Nice, nice.
Very
Florida
cool.
is such a long state. A lot of our friends are like, we're visiting Florida. I'm like, oh, what part? Maybe we could get together and meet up or
Like, we're
something.
still 9 hours away from
And
you.
like, yeah, you're 10 hours away
Yeah.
still. Wow.
Where are you guys based at?
Jacksonville,
Jacksonville.
all the way at the top, tippy top,
Mm-hmm.
northeast.
Very cool.
So yeah, I've got a few friends in Tampa that it's like 5-6 hours from here that we've seen like one time ever.
Yeah.
It's such a long state. My mom lived down in the Keys, and it's like we live in the same state, and we see each other like once a year, once every 2 years.
Yeah, because it's so
And,
far.
it's such a long state, such a long
Mhm.
state. I think, I mean, even you didn't ask for advice, but just soak up every moment, man. Just soak up every moment. They grow so fast, and each stage of their life is so like precious. And it's like I tear up thinking about our kids, our teenagers at certain moments. I'm like, oh, I just wish I could go back to that moment, relive it again with you.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm glad that we have this new
Yeah.
little one now. It's like we're soaking up every single moment a lot more than we did. We had our first when we were 21, our second at 22. They were pretty close in age.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's like just being so young and wrapped up in your own self-interest, I think, maybe, and just focusing on work a lot. It's like I didn't even realize the time was moving by so fast. So yeah, I'm sure you're doing a great job.
How
It's good
old
to
are your
have
kids
friends.
now?
13 and 12.
Yep.
So like full on social media, I assume, correct?
They are not.
The most social
Oh,
media they
okay.
use is Discord.
Yeah, Discord. Yeah.
We
Okay, I was
homeschool.
gonna say
We
like I heard that. I heard that in the interview with King Family,
yeah.
Dennis. So I was gonna say, like, I was curious on their perspective on like you guys being on YouTube and like like famous parents kind of thing, you know?
Somebody said, "Oh my gosh, YouTube celebrities are now reacting to Filipino artists." I was like, "YouTube who are
Yeah.
they talking
Who are
about?
they talking about? What?
That couldn't be us." But they're very motivated by it. I feel like they're both into their own like things. Our
Mhm.
youngest is into stop motion, so he's
Wow,
12.
cool.
He can't upload to YouTube like himself. It's against the TOS for until you're 13 to like upload. But he's in this group chat on Discord, like a group, not a group chat, like a Discord server with a
Yeah,
lot of
community.
kids his age that are also into stop motion. And so I created another YouTube account and basically just phrased it as like, hey, this is my channel where I let my son upload his progress in stop motion. So we kind of, negate the system, get around it a bit. But man, he's so into that. And then our older son, he's into game development right now. So he's also in a big Discord server with other people. It's a lot of older people in there though, older teenagers. But I feel like that's, we're getting into this age of technology where it's a little bit harder to, uh, we live in the same neighborhood that I grew up in, and every day that I went outside, there's all these other kids always out. And now there's not very many
It's
kids
not like
walking the
that.
streets, not many kids just out and about doing things. So it's a bit harder to find those friend groups. And so Discord has been a great place. I've found plenty of people, plenty of different servers on there, where you can find people with common interests. So I've done, a decent job at trying to curate that for them. And I was like, hey, you guys are into this, you're into this. Let's find a Discord server with other like-minded people.
Hmm.
And man, now they're like, our oldest son is starting to get pulled into the stop motion because he sees our youngest son has a lot more friends around his age. They stay up in group chat with these people. They're sharing each other. They both have webcams, so they're like turning their webcam on, like, oh, check this stuff out.
Yeah.
They
look
were
at
up
this.
until like 12 p.m. last night.
Really?
Just 12 a.m. I should say. They were up until then, just talking to each other, sharing screens, and just having a good time as kids, man. It's a
That's
different
great.
age that we live in, but we try to do a good job of still allow them to find those friend groups.
Yeah.
And so
That's
he just
great.
found
Good
out
for you
one of the
guys.
kids is he lives in Florida as well. And this past year we went to this collective con thing. And so he told his friend down in Tampa about it, and he's talking to his parents about coming up. So hopefully they can meet in real life.
That's cool. Very cool.
Yeah, it's gonna be
Very
cool. It's
cool.
gonna be a fun time. So
So
Good for you guys.
you said you have a baby daughter. What is her
Hmm.
name?
Madeline.
Madeline.
that's
Oh
a
my
beautiful
gosh,
name.
stop it. That is beautiful. I love
Well,
that.
we wish you all the best with
Yeah,
that. Many
congratulations.
years
Thank
of
you.
success with your marriage, with your child. Are you guys planning on having another one, or is it just kind of,
I'd say so.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
I would recommend it.
Yeah.
Just seeing the ways that our sons interact with each other, man, they're like best friends.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
I didn't have that growing up. I have two older siblings, but they're 5 years apart from me. And so we grew up as more like enemies.
Yeah.
If anything else, it's all down to the parenting though. I'm sure like our
Sure.
kids are 12
Absolutely.
and 13 years apart now, but they take care of their little sister
Yeah,
so well.
they very
Mhm.
much spoil her for sure.
That's great.
So, what got you into music in the first place? Did you grow up around it with your parents, or like, what originally got you into wanting to create music yourself?
That's a great question. I did not grow up around music. I wanted to be everything but a musician. I wanted to be an NFL football player, like every, Northeastern kid. Actually, that's probably more like a Southern thing, but like, I wanted to be an NFL football player. I wanted to play for the New York Jets. I wanted to be a psychologist at some point. And then when I was in high school, I started playing music and I really liked it. And then I wanted to go into like film scoring. But then I started writing my own songs and I was like, oh, this is definitely what I want to do.
That's
So
really cool.
thank
Didn't
you.
grow up around it at all. And so, psychologist, was that like when you first took your first psychology class? What got you into that?
I have never taken a psychology class. I was like 12 thinking I wanted to be a psychologist. I didn't know if
Wow.
it really, I think I just like the idea of helping people.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm the same way. I very much vibe with the songs that I've listened to from you. I
Thank you.
vibe with them a lot, man. We're actually posting a reaction to your Diamond Eyes the same day this goes
Yes.
Oh,
up.
wow. Oh, very cool,
I
man.
love that
Thank you so
song, man.
much.
Little bits of
Yeah,
it kept
thank you.
coming across my Instagram, and I was like, okay, I have to get on his YouTube and search this whole song. So I was like, Jess is gonna love this.
And I
So
do. Definitely do.
Thank you.
You answering that question just definitely sparked an I like why how you came to writing these songs, and then you saying that you just want to help people, and the fact that you went from being 12 to being a psychologist because you wanted to help people, but then you move on to something that you're passionate about, but you also can help people and reach to people. I think it's
Hmm.
awesome. It's beautiful. Like
Yeah.
when you can write something from it's still amazing to me, songwriters, because I couldn't write a song to save my life. Like sometimes you can think of something, you know what I mean, like, oh, I want to spread this message, but it's not something that I focus on enough to where I could write a whole song that I feel like would reach someone. So when somebody does that and then you listen to the result of it, it's just amazing to me, because this song can reach so many people, and especially people in dark places who don't think that they can get out of it. It's like a hopeful song. I just love it. Like I didn't think that's what I was going to hear with Diamond Eyes. I thought it was going to be like, you know, in my head I'm just like a romantic.
When I
he's
saw
probably
the
talking
song
about
title, I thought it was a romantic song.
Yeah.
You know, just
Yeah.
a song to your lady.
Yeah.
And then I saw another video of you where you actually explained the meaning of it.
I was
And I
gonna
was
say, I was gonna ask if you got the meaning, or I was gonna ask your perception on it before I explained it. So you saw the video. I don't remember when I posted it. Yeah,
It
but
was like you in a studio talking about it, you know, and I think that's really cool too that you have like, was that helpful when you got into music? So you got into it in high school? You just took a music
Mhm.
class?
yeah.
So you have friends in the industry and everything like that. I feel like if I were to have friends that were into that stuff, it was something that I would definitely love to do. It's just, you know, I never had the privilege of getting into a group of friends that was into music. Her
Oh no.
family,
I just kind of joined the music classes, and then I kind of made friends with that.
I'm saying since then though. Since then,
Oh
do you
yeah,
have
sure.
friends now that keep you into it?
Kind of, not really. Not
Okay.
anybody local. It's
Okay.
which is kind of like the downside to, I think, being a musician, a solo act. I mean, I play at my church pretty frequently. And we
Okay.
play like contemporary music. It's not like, you know, I'm playing the organ. We play contemporary, like electric guitars and stuff. But I would say like that is a downside of being a solo act, is like you spend a lot of time alone compared to my wife, you know, that goes to work, you know, where she's surrounded by people. I'm surrounded, you know, by a camera and lights, you know,
Yeah.
so it's a little different.
Hey man, there's a Discord server and a group for everyone. Okay, you could
It's
find
true.
one
It's
for a
true.
bunch of solo
It's
acts, and you
true.
guys could feed
I'm a
off each
sanguine
other.
though, so I like talking to people, like real people, like in person kind of thing. So I do, that
Yeah.
is one thing that I do miss, kind of you know, working from home and work. I mean, I've been working from home for 10 years at this point. So,
Wow.
but yeah.
Well, that's very interesting, man. The song Diamond Eyes and you wanting to be a psychologist, that's so interesting to me. I actually wanted to as well, but it came from me wanting to help people, and then I took a psychology class. I'm like, this is it. Okay, this is how I can do it. And then I ended up dropping out of college, so that never came to fruition. But I think it's really cool that not only do you want to help people, but you devoted that amount of time to, like she said, writing a song about this, the video for it. Like you went around and just filmed it holding up this sign. What is your dream job? For anybody who hasn't checked out the song, we're gonna have the link in this description.
Oh, thank you.
Also check out our reaction to it.
Yeah.
It's an incredible song. The way
Thank
that you
you.
filmed the video, what inspired the filming of that video?
I don't remember which came first, but there was a series where I was going into the city to promote the song, where I would just ask random people what their dream job was. And it was just kind of like, again, I'm a sanguine, so I kind of like talking to people. So just I don't, to be honest, the video wasn't really well thought out, like, oh, let's do this whole, like, you know, it was just like kind of no different. You know, actually what it was a short form concept turned into long form, where all those little different clips of me in different areas can be chopped up into different short form content. So I was like, oh, let's just film 6 different takes of me singing in 6 different areas, and then I'll turn it into one long form video. So that's the not as you know, cool sounding answer, but it's the
It is
logistical
cool, man.
answer of how I think as a content creator.
You're too hard on yourself. I mean,
Yeah.
that's
Thank
when we
you.
had Kofi on, I asked him like, "Are you the hardest working? Are you the hungriest
Yeah.
person in the fam chat?" Because he's always posting about numbers. You know, he's always chasing that next number and pushing Lyle lately. Like, I'm gonna beat it before you. I'm gonna get to 100K before you. I like that. I like that he's like constantly just. He seems very hungry, and he actually said he wasn't. He said you are. He said he mentioned how you
Big
go
compliment.
out on the streets and you're just always doing something to reach that next level. So the fact that you
It's a
put
big
yourself out
compliment. I
there,
appreciate that, Kofi, if you're listening. Thank you.
yeah,
It's a
I
big
thought
compliment.
so as well. And this is before that I kind of took this dive into your work.
Before you
So
knew that I was the most famous, richest creator
yeah,
born at
Yeah.
JTV.
much deserved, man. Much deserved. You worked hard for that freaking spot.
But seriously,
Not
the
yet.
the Diamond Eyes video does not look like it wasn't, like you said, downplaying it a little bit, but like it was simple, but it was like it was like a good simple, like it reached the message that it needed to with what you had.
There was definitely one intentional shot with the one in front of me in front of Madison Square Garden.
Okay.
Which that is a dream of. I don't know if you're familiar with Madison Square Garden, but it's
I didn't want to mention that, like, oh, is that Madison Square Garden? Because I've only seen it in like pictures and stuff. So I was like,
so that was an intentional, like, all the other shots were like, oh, this kind of place looks kind of cool, but that one was intentional of like, standing outside of Madison Square. I'm a optimist, but I also kind of think into the future and have big goals. So I like the idea of having that, and then a couple of years from now being like, oh, remember when I was outside of Madison Square Garden? Now we're inside playing.
And now
Madison
my name's on the front. That's awesome.
I think the verse that you actually hit on when you were standing in front of it, now that I do know for sure that it was Madison Square Garden, I actually thought it was Madison Square Garden because of the movie Godzilla back in the day. Yeah, like they have that scene going on at the end of the movie in Madison Square Garden, and I was like, I'm pretty sure that's it.
That's it.
But
for such an iconic venue, it's pretty ugly on the outside.
Yeah. I was a little bit disappointed.
Yeah.
No, but you were hitting on a verse that was just like, when I'm famous, I forget the words, but I'm sure you know them by heart. But you hit the perfect verse while you were standing in front of that, and you've talked about as well in that song, just the people that you wanted to believe in you weren't the ones to necessarily believe in you.
And you can't wait to go back when you are famous and tell them about it.
It was just such a cool video, man. Like, we get out and we pick up trash out as a family. We just get out
very cool.
as a family, and I feel like doing that, letting people see you in public doing things like that aren't the norm these days, it's really impactful. It's really impactful, and I think in ways that we fully don't understand. We don't give ourselves the credit for that, but that's, somebody saw you that day and they're like, okay, what, they're at home later asking themselves, what is my dream job? This guy's out here doing something that I would never do, holding up a sign. They probably walked by you thinking that you were like a homeless guy asking for money at first, and then they see the words, they're like, oh wow, like, this is not something that I expected to see today, as I'm sitting here doing my mundane job that I hate. What advice do you have for someone out there who wants to take that leap, but they're nervous, they're scared,
they've lost
to do
their
it?
diamond eyes?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I'm no professional, so I can't give professional advice on this aspect, but everybody's situation is different. I'm just a big proponent of just starting. I like to start things and figure it out as I go. Because I think that personally, not everybody's different, but personally, if I try to plan everything perfectly, I'll just never do it. So for example, even like going and filming those videos in the city, I don't really go with a plan. I have a general idea of what I want to do, and then I pivot. For example, like sometimes, like I did it once recently, and I didn't even have the cardboard or anything, like, so I went to like a CVS in the city and bought all the supplies, and it's just like kind of going as I figuring it out as I go. So I think that but like starting, I think, is the biggest thing. And starting looks different for everybody. So I think that could be, even just, I'm going to steal something from a big, social media. He's a businessman. His name's Gary V on social media. I'm not sure if you're familiar with him.
Yeah.
I listened to his podcast for a while, and one of the advices he gives is if you're at your job, work 9 to 5, and then maybe from 7 to 9, 5 days a week, you do what you love, and then until the balance can tip. I didn't drop out of college and was a full-time musician right off the bat. I worked so many odd jobs. I worked in my parents' office as a bookkeeper. I worked in an art gallery for years. I gave guitar lessons and piano lessons. I did so many things until finally I was able to, do it full time. And even when I do it full time, I do video work every once in a while for clients. And so, because the Spotify ain't paying the bills yet. So,
well, it should be with that many views. Okay. Man, that's actually really helpful for me personally. This Strangers Like Me is the name of this podcast, and it started out as an idea that I was just going to take the equipment that I had, go sit on this park bench, and just invite random people to talk with me. And then unfortunately COVID hit, and I was like, it probably was not going to go well.
Yeah.
With people, just being so weary of being around another person at that time. But I should really just start doing stuff like that. You know, I've wanted to do it, and I'm a perfectionist. I want everything to be perfect before I actually jump in and start doing it. And
I just scheduled a short form video from a vlog that I posted recently titled "Perfectionism Prevents Progress."
it does. I can speak personally to that.
Yeah, because you just get in your own way. You get just
Yeah.
Yep. We would have double the amount of reactions out every week if I wasn't a perfectionist. So
I feel like we're complete opposite ends of this because I'm too much of a laid back person to where I could it doesn't bother me that much, and it probably should bother me a little bit more. So I feel like we kind of complete that in each other where I'm like, it's
Sure.
not that big a deal, and he's like, yes it is, you need to be caring more about it.
Sure.
I'm always like, I need somebody else to take over with responsibilities. Like, I should not be the one running this YouTube channel. I'll do the editing. I'll do whatever else. I'll do like the legwork. But as far as making decisions go, I am the last person that should be making decisions on things around here, okay? Things are never going to get done because I'm going to make 1,000,001 excuses, and they all sound so good.
Yeah,
They sound so good, and I'll convince her of it too. I'm like, stop listening to me, okay? Because I can convince you that we shouldn't do this, but we
Sure.
should.
Yeah.
We should.
Sure.
We shouldn't. I don't have to have everything perfect.
Sure.
And I'm slowly realizing that. I do realize it. It's just, it's still so hard to put it into action.
Yeah.
You know, we are who we are, and like you want to change certain things, and it takes time to change them fully. But man, I grew up in this way where it's like everything has to be perfect, or I don't know what the root of it is, but it's just like I've always been like this, and I'm slowly starting to let go of it. And so, yeah, thank you for that advice. I'm gonna take it to heart.
Of course. Absolutely.
Oh man.
For sure, man.
So what challenges have you faced since starting this, you know, going full time with it? You know, with you being one of the wealthiest people on the platform, I'm sure money's not a challenge for you.
Yeah, on the contrary, I think that's been definitely a challenge. You know, we'll talk. I have a couple of, so we'll talk. You know, finances, which was definitely tough. You know, you don't make a lot of money when you first drop out of college. I mean, you know, just in actual terms of things, like the first year I dropped out of college, I made $9,000 the whole year. You know, like that's not a lot of money, significantly below the poverty line. Now, I was never poor. Like at that time, I still lived with my parents. Like I still had food on the table, but like I did not have discretionary income to, you know, go and do things. And my wife and I have been together. We've been dating for we've been together for 13 years at this point. So like she knew me while I was still in high school, pre dropping out of college kind of thing. So like, you know, put a strain on our relationship where, you know, she's a nurse, so she has a very, very steady income, and I'm self-employed. And, you know, the self-employment can, you know, ebb and flow. You know, there's some, you know, I've heard people say it can be feast or famine. And, you know, the goal is for it to, you know, the sine wave to be, the dips and valleys to be smaller, you know, as you go, but and just on a constant, like, you know, linear rather than just this up and down kind of thing. But that's definitely been a strain. You know, another strain has been, I think, there's a lot. I don't think people recognize how much rejection is in I don't know if I would say all self-employment, but I think definitely in the arts, because you're trying to promote yourself out there and get yourself out there, and you are the product to some degree. And I think that there is a lot of rejection. And I think that it just builds really thick skin, but I don't think that people I get a lot of messages of people saying like, oh, I'm thinking about being a musician. I like to sing, and I think I want to do it as a career. And like my biggest like thought about that, and sometimes I don't totally say this always, you know, I kind of, because who am I to say, you know, oh, it's a good or bad idea for you. But one thing I do think about when I get those messages is like, you know, I can't do anything else. Like this is like, there's no plan B, you know, like, this is what I have to do. Like I would be unhappy doing anything else. So that's what gets me through the rejection and the frustration, or the you know, the times where there's not a lot of money, or the times where there is a lot of money. Like it's not about that. Like that I do it because this is what I have. Like I have, you know, I live and breathe music. Whereas if, you know, you're considering it because you like singing, like you know, it could work out very well for you, but also like I don't know if you're gonna have the guts to stick through the hard times with it.
You got to have that fire in you, because
Yeah,
it'll beat you
exactly.
down, especially if it's
Exactly.
like you said, this is your passion. That is what you're fueled on. You've burned all the other bridges. There is nothing else out there for you. So I feel like if you don't have that mindset going in, it is going to be a lot harder because you're not going to be prepared for those moments
Hmm.
where it's going to defeat you. Like that's another thing is like you hear about all the good stuff and then you see all the good stuff, but you don't see what's in the background and what that person had to
Hmm.
go through. And yeah, you definitely have
It's
to have that
easier said than
fire.
done just
Yeah.
to, quit your job, go after your dream job. We had a little bit of a talk after reacting to your video, and she was of the mindset of like just do it, just do it. And I'm like, well, the things I want to do is like be a freaking guidance counselor for people. If I had the money, I would just start an orphanage and just try to help as many young people as I could. And that
Well, I
takes a
think I
lot
think
of
a lot of that
money.
stuff just starts now, though. So yeah, maybe you don't build the orphanage, but Rome wasn't built in a day. It's one
Yeah.
brick at a time. So it's like, okay, what can I do today that's in line with that goal that I want to do tomorrow?
Yeah.
And every day, today you put one brick down, and then tomorrow you put two bricks down, and then in 5 years from now, it's what you built is pretty impressive.
I think that goes hand in hand with me homeschooling. I was working a full-time job when we first started homeschooling, and she recognized how passionate I was about it. And I got into some trouble in my younger years, and it kind of stopped me from being able to get the jobs that I was wanting. I had a lot of aspiration for this job or this job, and I would always get turned down. So I ended up only being able to work just construction jobs, and I hated it. It was so draining. Like Gary Vee talking about do what you have to do from this time and then do what you want to do. I would come home so exhausted that I was just like sleeping. I was working a 12-hour job in a warehouse that was over 110 degrees every day in there, and I would come home and just be so tired. And
Exhausted. Yeah.
that's where I lost a lot of the years with my sons when they were younger. It was just working these jobs that, metal roofing, come home and just be so drained from the sun all day, that it just started to make me dislike life. And as I started to listening to podcasts, the Joe Rogan podcast, he'd have these different guests on and giving advice about these things. I'm like, I'm never gonna be able to do any of this stuff. Like it's so hard for me to have the energy when I go home. And so when we started homeschooling, even though I was working a full time job, I took on the main responsibility of that. And she just realized that, like, wow, he's so passionate about this. I ended up losing that job I was at. I was the manager of this warehouse, and I came home and started getting my resume together. I had a pretty good resume at that time that I can get a job, even though I didn't really like the jobs. I could get another job that day. And she was like, "Why don't you just try to do this full time for a bit, and I'll go and pick up more shifts." She was working at the same restaurant she works at now, but she was doing to goes back then. Now she's a bartender. She makes so much more money than she used to, and so she's like, "I'm gonna go and pick up more shifts, and let's just start doing this now. Let's see how this goes with you homeschooling for a bit." And here we are, all these years later. We're 6 7 years into this,
Mm.
and I'm a full-time homeschool parent. I've dabbled in other things. I've had part-time jobs here and there as well.
Mm-hmm.
But mostly it was getting into content creation because I wanted to help people. I was going to start out writing blogs, and I found out about Twitch from Joe Rogan's podcast. Some guy came on talking about it. And I'm like, I could probably have live interaction with these people and like have people coming into chat, me talking about my life experiences. And that'll be the way that I help people. And it worked out to a certain extent. It's just Twitch has such a low discoverability. Like there's no discoverability on there. People can only find you when you're live. And then it's so oversaturated. And since we started doing these music reactions, it's like I'm just now starting to feel like I'm hitting this mark that I want to hit in at least one way.
Mm-hmm.
I love listening to all the music that we listen to, but songs like yours, like Diamond Eyes, when we're able to listen to it, has deep, meaningful lyrics, and
Mm-hmm.
we can pause and expand on those ideas.
Yeah.
And I'm able to get my thoughts out of my head, and my whole goal is just to change people's perspective. It's not all what you think it is, and sometimes it's an outsider's perspective that comes in and changes things. And that's why I think it's
Hmm.
it's very powerful what you did on the street. that's
Thank
that's
you.
changing people's perspectives, man. Like one person at a time, brick by brick,
Yeah.
you know it's powerful,
It
and you never
is.
know what kind of impact you had on that one person that walked by you, and now a year. When did you film that video? You know, a year ago or so, or
Yeah, almost exactly a year
you
ago.
know, who knows where what that person's doing now, you know, and
Yeah.
how their life has changed because of that
That
perspective you
moment.
gave them
That's
that
so
day.
crazy.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's what I'm all about, man. Just
I appreciate that. Thank you.
thank you, man.
But
You put all the work in.
Yeah.
well, there's a Jacob Restituto song for everyone. So you say you're a romantic. I have quite the repertoire of romantic songs if you're
Yay.
interested.
We're
I'm
definitely
Absolutely.
interested
definitely.
in. We're definitely interested.
Something that sticks out with me, especially in the questions that we have, because I was very curious about it. You were walking on the streets of New York. First of all, New York is just blows my mind because I'm like small town. Like we don't live in a small town or anything. It's
It's
just
kind
I've
of
never
small.
experienced anything like that. If I feel like if I went to New York, my eyes would be like this the whole time. But
Yeah.
you walking through, and I knew you grew up in New York, so it's probably nothing new to you. But you walking through the busy streets of New York, holding this sign, was there any reactions with a specific person that resonate with you or that you remember the most, or did people just pretty much walk past you and just see it and keep going?
uh, a little bit of both. So when I was actually filming that video, I didn't have a ton of reaction from people. Like, people would like look or like, but there's so much going on in the city that like people kind of don't really care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I grew up. I don't live in the city. I live about an hour outside of the city. So like I personally I like the culture of New York City. But so that being said though, when I was out asking people for content, have you seen any of that content like me with the microphone saying "What's your dream job"?
No,
Nope.
that's what I want to watch. We
Okay,
need to go
so
back and
yeah,
watch that.
I'll see if I can find some of that stuff for you guys and I'll send it over. Those
Yay.
were fun, totally separate. I think possibly even filmed on separate days. Um, that was an interesting because I was just going up to random people with that sign saying, "Hey, what's your dream job?" And you get some very interesting responses. But some of them are really cool, and some of them are like, one guy wants to be an F1 driver, an F1 race car driver. One guy wants to be, like an airplane pilot. One guy, some people. What's cool is when they say like, oh, I'm living my dream job, and oh, what is that? Like, and I'm like, oh, I'm on Broadway, or oh, I'm this,
That's
and
so
I'm like, oh,
cool.
how did you? What steps did you take to get here? And they're like, well, it was a lot of auditioning. It was like they put in the work, that they had an accent, so you could tell that they weren't even from here. So they moved here, then they auditioned, then they, so like stuff like that was really cool.
That is awesome.
And
That is
then it
really
was
cool. That's
also really
powerful.
interesting to see the comment section, like on TikTok or on Instagram of like people chiming in of what their dream job was, and whether or not they're doing it or not. And one of the things that I think the privilege that we have right now in this time of the world is we have the opportunity to build something that we want to do rather than that we have to do. I think that
Mm-hmm.
100 years ago, it was kind of even like 1,000 years ago, 500 years ago, and even up until I think 100 years ago, it was all about survival. And now, kind of, I think after World War II, we don't have as many problems in the world. There's still problems, but like as in America, we all live pretty decent lives. So like we've created this. The world's not at war where our 18-year-old boys are shooting each other at the moment. So like I think that we have this opportunity now to do what we want, like in a way that we haven't before.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that it's sad when people don't take that opportunity. It makes me sad when people chase comfort over passion.
My gosh, I'm so guilty of that. He's the one who has pushed me into this mode. Like it's scary. It's a scary thing, and I still think it's scary to this day, like reading the comments and stuff like that and what we're doing, and I'm like, are we really doing this? And I still freak out, and I'm like, should we be doing this? Do I want to be doing this? But like I grew up like dad has a job, mom stays home and takes care of everyone, and that's the security. And you grow up, and the man you're going to marry is going to have the job and the 9 to 5 and the security. That trickles more brain thoughts in my head about the Dax song that we just reacted to, How to Be a Man. Like all these different things that trickle from that mindset, because that's what I'm so passionate about, changing people's mindsets and what you can do and what you're able to do, and not limiting yourself, because those problems stem from that. Like having that societal mindset where it's like this way and only this way, it's causing a lot of problems and a lot of mental health issues, and it's just scary. I don't want to be like that anymore, because I feel like I was very close-minded, and he's very, very much opened my mind up. I never thought that I would be sitting here right now and talking to you, talking to different people around the world that have the same mindset that he does. And I'm slowly getting into that mindset where I'm content creation, and it's not as scary because I see the benefit of it, and that's what it's like fueling this fire in me, that I just want to keep going with it. Like,
That's what fuels me to keep going, because I've seen the change in her. Even my own mom, she came and lived with us for a bit, and my mom grew up with a very rigid mindset on life and the world, and coming to live with us was very powerful for us. She's talked about it quite a few times, and just seeing how we interact with each other as a family, how we take care of ourselves personally, how we treat other people, and just wanting the best for like everyone around us. And you mentioned it in the meaning of your Diamond Eyes song. Even if you want to be a garbage man, like, be the best garbage man you can be. It's not all about a dream job being like a movie actor or a singer or a podcaster or a content creator or something. Like, for a long time, I just wanted to do like certain jobs. I just really wanted to. I'm trying to think of some of the things. I wanted to be a business owner of my own, doing home remodeling things. And my perspective has changed over the years, and now I just really do like helping people, and I'm trying my best to live into that dream job. But also just, perspectives on relationships. Like, there's a lot of people who just think that, like, when you get married, it's like, as long as you guys go on a date like once every couple of months, or you sit on the couch and are next to each other every day, then that's enough. And I grew up with parents like that, and it wasn't enough for them. They eventually got divorced because they didn't have enough common interests in life. And so just changing perspectives in every aspect that you can, and
Yeah.
it's powerful stuff.
Can you send me that video of me talking about Diamond Eyes? Because I have no recollection of this, and I'd love that.
Yeah,
Love to
man.
see the video that you're referencing.
Yeah.
On a side note, though, one of the most satisfying things, like you said, it's all about perspective, and I think that you have two perspectives. When they hate, so when I've been doing this long enough to see the haters turn to like your biggest supporters. And I think you have two perspectives. I think you could be like, oh, you're a front runner, you're just jumping on the bandwagon now that I've proven it's possible, kind of thing. Or just be the like, realize that like it's actually kind of inspiring that these people that were so close-minded before are now significantly more open-minded, solely by the fact that you took a leap of faith, and now that your leap of faith has grown their faith. And that's kind of where I'm at. It's like, I think that's really cool. I've seen that in my life, just seeing some of the people that were like really dropping out of college, like, what are you gonna do? Like, and now they're some of my biggest supporters, and it's like they're really proud of what I've done and really excited for what I'm doing and telling everybody what I'm doing. It's like, like, to know that my decisions have influenced their perception of life has been really, really cool.
That's really nice, man, because I've struggled with that as well. The people who are on my Facebook page, like my personal one, I just feel I never get on there, because it's, for the longest time, I've had it from my own family, telling me that, like, what I'm doing is stupid.
Oh yeah, my best friends mock me the most, absolutely.
Yeah.
But then you do it long enough, and now they're like, yeah, they still make jokes every once in a while, but now that it's my job, like, what do they really have to say? Like, I don't have to drive, I don't have to commute 45 minutes to get to work. I don't I do what I love, and at this point,
Yeah.
like, one, either my skin is thick enough where I don't really care, or two, like, they realize, like, oh shoot, like,
It's actually working.
it actually, it took a couple of years, but it actually worked now. And
Yeah.
now, like, now they're like, oh, did you get this person on your podcast? Or, oh, can you, like, they go from making fun of you to being like, this is kind of cool. Like,
Yeah.
wow, like,
Kind of legit.
yeah.
I just read his YouTube bio, and he is the wealthiest YouTuber. And
Oh, dude, you're gonna have people crawling out of the woodwork now, man.
Let's clarify that is not the case for anybody listening, because some things don't come.
It's
come
too late into the podcast. They've tuned out. They've already started DMing.
Yeah, they're like, oh,
at this point, yeah. I'm reading the Bob Dylan biography, and he was interesting because, like, he never really confirmed nor denied anything. So like he lived this like ambiguous kind of celebrity life, and like if people he let people believe whatever they wanted to believe, and to create this like mystique. So I
Yeah.
just kind of found that interesting when you brought that up. I'm like, let the people believe what they want.
That's the best thing.
I think this is the romantic idealist in me, but I think that in your life that you have been with your wife for, is it 13 years altogether, you said, or 18 years? So it's a 13 plus 5 or just
13 years altogether.
And a beautiful, healthy baby girl. I think that you can say that you are wealthy. And I think that that is
Absolutely.
a lot of things that people miss is there's such a focus on money, but you can sit back and even though you don't have everything that you want to have, you can be like, I have a roof over my head, I have clothes on my back, my kids are okay, they have food on the table. I can say that I'm pretty wealthy. Like,
yeah, amen to that. How did it describe me? The most successful and wealthiest?
yeah,
One of, okay,
one of
not
them.
the,
Top.
okay, you're
One
getting
of
a
the
little
top.
ahead of yourself.
Oh, well,
Okay.
hey, you know what though? Like, how do you define success? What is success
Yeah.
defined as, and what do you
Exactly.
define
You're
wealth?
right.
So, absolutely, I do. ChatGPT is right.
Yeah, exactly.
You're right,
That's
because
hilarious, man. I think that's definitely really cool that those people have started to come out as your biggest supporters. I've only had that happen once, actually, and I forgot that it happened until you started talking about that. But one person who was very, very, very negative about my lifestyle, they didn't come out and necessarily say that, like, hey, I really like what you're doing now. But for a long time, they work a 9 to 5 job. They have a great paying job. They have so many different things in their life to show for that, asset wise. But they came to me and just like almost like crying on my shoulder type thing, just, explaining that like all of these things, all of this time that I've wrapped up into my work, I don't have anything to show for it. Like I don't have the only thing that, like the only thing I am is my work. And I didn't realize until now. And, the fact that they were confiding in me about that, it really just made me feel like them looking at what I've been doing, the relationship that I have with Jessica and our children, it gave them a different perspective. And it was like,
Yeah.
wow, like work really isn't everything. It doesn't have to be everything if that's what you enjoy. But just that's why I'm so driven to change people's perspectives, because I
Yeah.
see that in certain people. And when it's somebody really close to you, that even me,
Yeah.
I'm like, I've looked down on myself at times because I'm like, should I just go back to chasing financial stability? I mean, we have financial stability, but just chasing more and more and more money. And it's just reaffirmed. I'm like, wow, this person of all people just came to me and said, I made a mistake by chasing this whole time. And I regret it. And now I'm looking at myself in the mirror like I'm literally nothing except for my work, and that's all I am. And I'm like, I had to tell him like that's not true. But even if it is true, you can change it right now. You can just start living a different life right now. Like, don't go quit your job or anything. You still have to work and you still have to pay the bills and things like that. But just try to do more outside of work.
Slow down a little bit.
Slow down a little bit, and don't be so wrapped up in your work. I love this movie, Soul. It's got Jamie Foxx. It's an animated Pixar movie. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it, but
I've seen the coming attractions. Yeah.
Okay, well, the whole premise of the movie is that he's an aspiring artist, aspiring singer, and he's chasing it his whole life, and he's just so down on his life because he hasn't been able to achieve that goal. And I don't want to spoil the whole movie, but he ends up just coming to this epiphany, having this epiphany later in the movie, and going through and remembering his whole life, all these moments that he lived, and he's enjoying this time with his mom, this time with his nephew, this thing that he was doing then. And he's like, wow, I've been living an amazing life this entire time, and I didn't. It's not all about reaching that goal. It's great to have a goal in mind, and it's great to aspire to be more than what you are right now. And I have a growth mindset. I want to, every single day that goes by, I want to be a little bit.
Oh, my bad. Hold on a sec.
Yeah,
I hit the wire by accident. Hold on a second, my foot. My bad.
Totally fine, man. Like Dennis said in our first, what's a interview without some technical difficulties?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Hold on a sec.
We unplugged our mic within the first few minutes of starting the interview
with Dennis.
with him.
Yeah,
that was fun. I saw that. All right, give me 2 seconns. Let me just plug it back in. Hold on a sec.
No problem. these fancy cameras, you know.
They look great. That's what I was gonna
He does have a great looking camera. That's our next step, is to get a better camera. There he is.
Sorry about that.
All good, all good. These high fancy cameras, man. It's probably got
Yeah, I
five.
just hit it with I unplugged it with my foot by accident.
It's so delicate. Just kidding. I was curious. I'm being nosy. What is all over your wall? What are these pictures? Are
The
these moments
Polaroids.
of the process? Are these moments going forward? Or are these family
Yeah,
members? Or
all of the above. I am obsessed with Polaroids. I um I like capturing. The reason I like them is the same reason I just got a typewriter over here, a 1940s typewriter. The reason I like it is because they're not perfect. You capture a moment in time that you can't edit, that you can't change, that it's that moment, and that's the reality of the moment. So I have some really, really, really cool moments captured. And the cool part about them that I really like is that you try to capture the moment, and sometimes you don't capture it because the exposure is not right, or so like it's like, oh, this is such a great photo, you take it and it comes out black, like you just
yeah,
can't see anything, or if it's way overexposed and you still can't see anything, and then you get one that's like perfect and it's like, wow, like it's so great.
That's
So
awesome.
the just the craft of it, I guess. So I probably have, I mean, you see this one section over here, but this
mm-hmm.
whole wall, and I probably have about 500 that I haven't hung yet. um so I have like every moment. I have, my wedding, I have, baby being born, I have, friendships and all these things. Like it's just funny moments, sad moments, not as many sad moments actually, but you know just moments in time, and they're all dated. So like looking back on I like capturing moments in time. Like I journal every day. And actually July 3rd will be 9 years of journaling almost every single day. I think I've missed like a handful of days, but it'll be
That's
9 years of
amazing.
journaling every day. So
Wow, that is
How does that help you?
awesome.
Does it help you stay centered with who you are and who you want to continue
I
to
just want to
be?
document. I like documenting. So
Do
I'm
you go back
documenting
and
my
read
my
it?
process. Absolutely, of course. Yeah. Not
Yeah,
as often as you think, but when I do, it's cool to look back, or it's fun to be like, when did we do that? And you just type in like
You go back.
interview with Regeneration Nation, and then 5 years from now I can look back and be like, oh, June 29th, as when I did that.
that's really cool,
That
man.
is so awesome.
So what is the next Polaroid you hope to capture? The question really is
Mm.
like, what upcoming projects do you have going on? What's that next step, the next thing that you want to achieve in life? But I think that's a better way of framing it. What's the next Polaroid you want to
What's
capture?
the next? That's a great idea. That's a great question. Um, you know what? One thing I've been really focusing on is the I read a quote that really I'm reading. I don't know if you're familiar with Rick Rubin. He's a music producer that's produced a lot, pretty much any pop track you've ever heard.
Yeah, he's a
Very,
great
very
dude.
prolific producer. And I'm reading his book, and he said it's interesting how you read a whole book, or I mean, a quarter of the way through the book, but like when one line just changes everything. The quote is, impatience is an argument with reality. And it just really, really, really struck me, because like, I get mentioned I have some really big goals and dreams, and then it's really, you can get frustrated that they're not happening in the timeline that you want. But every time you're impatient about it or trying to rush that process, you're just arguing with reality, and you can't change reality. So to answer your question, I don't really know. I think I'm just going to take it one day at a time, just kind of like, and when the moment's there, I'll capture the moment. And one of the questions people used to ask, they don't ask it, I don't hear it as much anymore, but it's like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And I have no idea. Like, a lot of it's out of my control.
Yeah,
I don't have a corporate ladder that I can climb. It's tomorrow. Everything can change tomorrow. I could post one thing, a perspective that I'm trying to creep, and that it is reality, is I'm one video away from everything changing. Like one post, and you don't never know when, but one video can change everything. So
Mm-hmm.
it could be
that's really
tomorrow, or it could
cool.
be 10 years from now.
I forget where I heard it, but it was just talking about how we have this ability to be time travelers, and you can go into the past, you can go into the future, but doing that too much can be harmful. And I experienced that a lot in life. Just for a long time, I was very focused on my past, like asking myself, like, how did I get here? Why is everything so messed up? And I would always go to the past and
Mm.
get very blamey, against the people in my life at the time that were supposed to be guiding me. And she helped change my perspective on that. My brother helped change my perspective on that. And I got on this very positive wave, but then I started living in the future too much and just like wanting everything that I see for myself in the future right now, like you said, and just living in the now is such a powerful thing. It's
Mhm.
great to use those time traveling capabilities we
Mhm.
have, go into the past when you need to think about some things that you may have forgotten about, learn from your past. It's
Yeah,
very
not spending too
powerful,
much time.
but spending too much time
Yeah.
there can be so detrimental to your mental health. And then, like you said, living in the future too much and focusing on like, why is this not happening right now? It can be so detrimental. It can be so powerful to do both of those things. It's very helpful, but when you start doing it too much and you're not living in
Mhm.
the now at all, it is one of the most detrimental things that I've ever done, as a person,
Mhm.
to myself, to the people around me. They don't even know what's going on in your head, but you're over there time traveling
Yeah.
and just
Absolutely.
tearing yourself apart one way or another. But it's like finding that balance, how to live in the
Yeah.
past a little, just the perfect amount, live in the future the perfect amount, but
Yeah.
most of your time should be spent living in the now.
Yeah, because if you've seen any Marvel or DC movies, we all know about time travel and how detrimental it is.
Wow.
You
Sure.
can mess it up,
Absolutely.
man. You can mess
Preach.
it up.
Absolutely.
Preach.
I have a question for you as a bartender. I'm curious what your favorite drink to make is.
Oh
Ooh,
gosh.
okay. So with Texas Roadhouse is where I bartend at. So it's kind of like it was franchised for a little bit, so we had a little bit of fun. But with it being corporate, you got to use jiggers. We're having to pour right measurements. But whenever I can like build a drink from scratch, it's so fun. So I think the like Bahama Mamas and like rum runners and stuff like that, things that give me a challenge where I'm like, oh, it's multiple liquors in here. I got to make it look cool. B52 is a shot that I've learned over time to do. But it's so fun because it's like layered. So anything that's like aesthetically pleasing when you
What's a
look at it.
B52?
So it has Grand Marnier, Kahlua, and Bailey's, and the way that you layer it, if you layer it properly, it's all three. You can see all three layers before you take the shot, and I just think it's beautiful. But yeah, we have a margarita that's the sangria margarita. It has the wine sangria mix, and then it has the frozen mix in it. But the way that you do it, you kind of feel like you have to like layer it so where it like looks
Mhm.
like one of those lifesavers, a little swirl in it or whatever. But yeah, anything that I can make pretty and I just present it and I'm like, oh, it looks so nice, But
Yeah, absolutely.
anytime I can have fun and like actually build a drink and you actually feel like a bartender and you can like shake it, like that's when I have the most fun. But it doesn't
Yeah.
happen a lot because it's basically draft beers and the margaritas that we already have the mix for. But those little moments when I can, build one is fun.
Sure.
So.
Speaking of my dream job, well, I love what I do. There's definitely ventures in life that I want to do. Like owning a bar or being like not owning a bar and being like a bartender is definitely on that list. Not
Mhm.
necessarily like pouring like a draft beer or something like that, but more so like the mixology. I think is so cool.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I
I
think
think
you
it's a
would
creative art.
It
I
is.
think you would do great at it, and just hearing
Yeah.
more about you as a person. She's the same way. She likes that interaction, that live interaction
Yeah.
with people, face to face interaction.
Yeah.
And she's like a freaking local celebrity around here over the past few years since becoming the bartender. For years, I mean, even I served there, and you get a few regulars while you're serving, but the bar is like where it's at when you want to interact with people. Um,
Sure.
Mhm.
and I just see this brightness come off of her, and she's got so many regulars that just love her and will be stopped anywhere we go. We go to Walmart, we go to this store, to the mall.
The
We're
boys hate
always
going anywhere with me though. I've really made that
I enjoy it.
like,
I
oh,
enjoy
you're gonna
it.
see somebody that we're gonna sit there for 30 minutes.
There's so many
Oh
people
yeah,
that
I
have
hear that.
fallen in love with you as a person. They get to see who you are as a person, and
Mhm.
it's
It's really fun. I do, like you said, like I love, did you say you're a sanguine? I've never heard that before. So like when you were saying that, I was like, oh, what is this? But I love talking to
It's a
people. I love,
personality trait.
yeah, I love, okay. I have to look into
Yeah,
that. I'm gonna
for
study that a
sure.
little bit more. That
using
sounds
big words we
very
don't
interesting.
understand.
But I love talking to people, and I feel like we we touched on it a little bit during the podcast with Dennis of how this has impacted our lives outside of here. And I feel like me being here and doing this and stepping out of my comfort zone, and then also being a bartender and stepping out of my comfort zone, because when I go to like Walmart, like I actually try to avoid people. I don't want to sit and talk to people. So like I go out and I'm stepping a little bit more outside my comfort zone. Like when we went to the bar together on a date, me and him, and we end up striking a conversation with a random stranger. And then I end up talking about the YouTube channel, which is something that is not in my nature. I don't want you to know anything about me.
If you ever get to the point where like it's your full-time gig or something like that, and you tell people, I say, what do you do? And you say, well, I'm a musician. And then they're like, oh, that's really cool. And then like, yeah, and YouTube's actually paying the bills. Like the eyes that you get from people, like, wow, really? That's a very interesting moment. It's very satisfying.
Yeah, she made her first post a few weeks ago. I think it was when we hit 40,000 subscribers. And everybody, that was the first time she had ever posted about it on her social media.
And that was on my personal Facebook, which is something that I did not want to do, but I stepped out of
her
it.
comfort zone.
Yeah.
And did it. And she had so many people reaching out
that had no idea.
I'm just like, this is so cool. And again, just changing people's perspectives. Like, wow, I had no idea that you spend this type of time with your husband on that level.
Yeah.
And I think it's clicking to them because we get a lot of compliments about our relationship and just how close we are and stuff. But I think people didn't really realize the behind the scenes of that. Like we've taken a lot of steps over the years to find common interests, and I've had to sacrifice. She's had to sacrifice and like, okay, I don't really enjoy this right now, or I don't really think that I would enjoy it. But now that I've stepped into it with you and I'm experiencing it with you,
it changes.
Now we have other things to talk about. Like when we stop doing these things, we have things to conversate about, is if you don't have common interests and you don't have, like, especially some relationships don't have any common interests at all. They don't have one single common interest. They don't watch one single TV show together. They don't have one hobby that they both share together. There's literally nothing. I have so many friends that have relationships like that, and I see them struggling, and it's like, man, just step out of your comfort zone for that person. Try to get into one thing that they're interested in. Just one thing, even if it's just one thing. If you do that for them and they do that for you, now you have two common interests, and now you have things to talk about later.
It's going to connect you. Like, I've become a gamer nerd, and I never thought that was going to happen, but I like video games. Surprising to me, because when we first started dating, I stopped playing them because I'm like, okay, we can't really spend the time together that I would like, because I play online games with other people. It's not just, I do like single player games for the story impact that they have. We just did a video the other day where we reacted to a scene from a video game.
An Assassin's Creed?
Yeah.
And so I was like, man, it impacted me and I want to share this with you. And that was a single player game. But the multiplayer games really take you away from the people around you that are right there next to you. And she hurt her ankle at work, and she's like, let's play a game together. So all I can do is sit here.
Yeah.
And man, she never played a game before. I started on controller. Moving over to keyboard and mouse was so foreign to me. And because she never really played on controller, she just picked it up perfectly. And she's just killing me in games, and I'm getting so angry. But the fact that me, her, our two sons, we've had such amazing memories together in online games together, us four. And then when my mom moved in, she joined in on the fun. So it's like all five of us, 3 generations in here, having a great time. And I'd stop and I would take my headset off and hear her laughing, hear my mom in there laughing, hear my sons in there laughing. I'm like, this is great, man. Like this, it's fun to get out together in real life, to go to the beach. We're very outdoorsy type people. We're going to go swim in the pool for the first time in forever after this podcast.
Can't wait. Summertime.
Having a pool day. We love doing that. But during COVID, especially, it made me realize like there's other ways to have that same level of fun as well. And yeah, I just love that. I love that she stepped out of her comfort zone, gave gaming a chance, because it's brought us so much closer together.
We've had a lot of moments that we otherwise would have missed if we didn't take those chances on each other. So
yeah,
that's great.
Well, Jacob, thank you so much for coming on, man. If you want to tell
it's been a pleasure.
Anything that you have going on that anything that your Instagram posts is something that come to my mind. Your Instagram posts lately have been very helpful, insightful to me. But anything
I'm
personally,
happy to hear that.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you doing them. I I like to reach out to people and just tell them. I used to have a friend on Twitter who used to post these just, I don't interact with people on Twitter, but I had to reach out and like, hey man, every time I hop on Twitter, I see one of your posts and it always brightens my day a bit. So thank you for continuing. You don't get a lot of interaction on your Twitter posts, but thank you for doing that, because you're doing it for yourself, but you're also doing it for those other people that might see it. But yeah, just me personally, I do like your Instagram posts. I appreciate you putting them out there.
That. Well, thank you. It's good encouragement. Like I said, the best way to support me and what I do is just checking out the music and go and it will make me very happy to see people go out and pursue their dream job. So since we've been talking about that,
thank you, man.
It has been so much fun, and I definitely appreciate these podcasts. And then the 3 that we've had, the conversation goes so smoothly, and then we like look at the clock. I'm like, oh man, it's already been that long, but it doesn't feel like that. And
I have no idea how long it's been.
I don't know either, but it just feels like it just went really nicely, and it was very enjoyable. And I really appreciate you being on here.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, man. We'll have to have you on another time. Talk about, one thing I do want to do is talk about deeper subjects. I asked Dennis. We both lost our fathers. It's like, hey man, would you want to come on and, talk about that? I think it'd be impactful for people. So as me and you become, closer friends, I'm sure there's going to be something like that. And if you're interested, come back on, talk about even deeper subjects. Maybe,
even if it's
maybe cry together.
Baby girl milestones,
Baby girl milestones.
Sure.
There we go.
Yeah, exactly.
Girl Dad podcast.
All right, Jacob, man. You have a good one.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I'll talk to you soon.
Bye, Jacob. Have a good day.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Peace, man.